Welcome back to the Loading Up Podcast. I am your host, Producer J, along with my co-host, Brother Zay. How you doing, my friend?
I'm all right. What's going on, everybody?
It is a great time because finally, ding dong, the deal is done.
The ding dong.
ABK, yeah. The ABK deal is concluded. Activision has now been absorbed or merged by Microsoft. And now we can finally move on. Well, maybe, because
this is just the beginning.
Right, there's still people trying to downplay it. There's still people, there's still freaking regulators. The FTC is still trying to fight it, apparently. So, but yes, we talked about it last week, where we knew the deal was gonna close the next day after we recorded this podcast. We were talking about delaying it so that way we could talk about it, but unfortunately schedules couldn't line up. But now we can talk about it because it's done. It's been a week. We got more information about it. But before we get into all that, we would ask you to please like and subscribe if you're watching on YouTube. If you're listening to podcasts, please give us like 5 stars, ratings, and share it wherever you can, because we want to grow and we want to branch out and we want more people to listen to our thoughts and opinions. So
that's right. Even if you hate us, you don't like us, you want to call me an Xbot, comment that in there, right? Just like, comment, and if you want to hear more from me, just, let me know. Or if you don't, just tell me. It all doesn't matter. Just let us know.
So for people who are watching on YouTube, you actually just saw a little mistake, because I actually had the 3 pictures for the podcast show up when Brother Tay is not here. He had some work issues, not issues, but he had to stay late at work, so he wasn't able to come in with us. But yeah, it's fixed now. I'm not gonna worry about it. But anyway, how you been doing? What you been playing?
I've been playing a little bit of things here and there. I'm trying to bide my time, because I know Spider-Man 2 comes out.
Oh yeah.
And also Mario Wonders comes out. This is all, by the time you guys hear this, I will be deep into Mario Wonders, while my son is playing Spider-Man 2, so I'm waiting for those to come out. So in the meantime, I've been playing some Forza Motorsport, trying to finish Mortal Kombat 1, and as well as I just started Solar Ash, which, man, that game looks really cool. And I've been playing it. It's a really cool game. So that's what I've been playing.
Nice.
Yeah.
I just got started again with Starfield, because I took a little bit of a break just because the past 2 weeks have been busy. So I've jumped in a little bit, but we spoke off screen about like what I plan to do, and like you said, Spider-Man's coming out. It'll better be up by the time people listen to this. I'm debating if I should hold off on the Starfield, because I did pre-order it and I do want to play it, and apparently it's actually pretty easy to platinum. Well, I won't say easy, but you can do it relatively quickly compared to most other games.
Well, I mean, people are playing the game right now. There are streamers out there and content creators, and people are playing it. You can go on Twitch, on TikTok, and watch all these streamers playing it. So you can watch it. Let's say if you're an Xbox fan who doesn't own a PlayStation 5, you can go and watch these streams and just watch it. Or even YouTube, because on YouTube they have full walkthroughs already on how to get through the game entirely with no commentary. The problem with that is that the walkthroughs and the full gameplays are only 11 to 12 hours long.
Now
for complete story, just story.
Now I wonder. See, that's the thing. That's just like the main story.
It's just a story, yes.
And granted, I can't remember. Does Spider-Man have? I don't think it has difficulty levels. Does it?
It does. Yeah, they do like in the neighborhood Spider-Man, and it gets harder. Yeah.
So then maybe they're just playing on the easiest difficulty and then just breezing through it just to get to the story, you know?
Yeah. I mean, Insomniac did come out and say that Spider-Man 2 will be about 30 hours to complete everything. which is
Okay.
fine. 30
That's
hour
yeah.
30 hour to complete is fine, you know. But if people are out there completing it in like 12 hours, just doing the main missions, I mean, it just goes to, like, how quick is it, you know?
Well, that goes to the whole argument about uh playtime versus value and stuff like that. Like, do you equate a longer game with more value for like personally, I feel like it should be more about the experience. Like, what do you get from it? Do you feel good about it? Like, are you happy with your playtime and all that stuff? Like, I'm not necessarily too keen on like the actual time it takes to beat a game
Yeah.
versus like how like because people talk about like, oh, you pay like for movies you pay what is it? Well, I guess it depends on what you see it in, but like maybe like $15-$20
Yeah.
to see a movie in the theaters, and then if it's only like an hour and a half, you feel like you wasted your money and stuff like that. Like,
Yeah.
so I mean, it just depends. Like I feel like that's different because it's a set time. Like you're sitting down for that much amount of time, and that's what you get. But sometimes that hour and a half or whatever it is, it's actually very good. Like, it's a good story that they tell you. So that's why I feel like it's more about what you get from the game as opposed to how long it takes to beat it. Because sometimes people don't even beat games. Like I haven't even beaten Starfield, but I'm still enjoying it, even though it's probably gonna take me another like 150 hours. But
Jesus Christ.
listen, I take my time with stuff. I'm doing like every freaking side mission, and yeah, that's the
Hold
problem
up.
with like RPGs.
Although I've taken my time with those games too, okay? It was
No,
it was
because
130 hours.
see, the problem is I decided to to start One Piece right in the middle of Starfield. So like
Why would you do that to yourself?
I don't know because
I'm happy you're starting One Piece. I'm sure as many other people would be listening,
it was the
but
Netflix show. The Netflix
uh,
show. I was so against starting One Piece. I was like, it's gonna take too long, blah blah blah. But then the Netflix show came out, and I was like, it's kind of good. Maybe I should watch it. And then I started watching it. But I mean, that's my problem that I gotta deal with. Anyway,
we need more time in a day.
for real. You know what? On my vacation, because I take a vacation in 2 weeks, I'm gonna try and like bulldoze through most of Starfield and get my hours up because I need to. My goal. I don't know how achievable it is to finish Starfield by the end of the year.
That's doable. Come on.
You say that, but then I'm still freaking chugging along. But anyway,
All right, everybody, we gotta hold producer Jay accountable. So we need you guys to just yell at him. Go on his socials and yell at him.
yes,
Play Starfield.
yes, you got to keep me on point. Don't let me slack.
That's all
Anyway,
right. We're gonna.
we could just get right into the news. What you got for us?
All right. So one of the biggest news stories that we have is Hines, the head of publishing at Bethesda, is retiring after 24 years with the company. Hines is obviously the head of publishing. He worked on games all Fallout, Skyrim. So he's been a big part of the Bethesda community over at Bethesda, and then merging with Microsoft and Xbox, and then overseeing Starfield's launch and everything. And it's a bittersweet moment, because he was the head over at Bethesda before the big merger, and now it's like, what's gonna happen? Is everything still gonna go smoothly over there at Bethesda? I mean, I'm sure it has. The success of Starfield has been great. It's just he goes on to say that my love for Bethesda and its people have never wavered, and I will never stop being a part of this incredible community we have grown. So like, I don't think he's done with gaming, but just maybe done at this position, the head of publishing at Bethesda. And we look forward to seeing where he goes, where he lands, and what he can bring to, if he does continue in the gaming world.
Well, I mean, he did say this was like a retirement, and people, even like including Phil Spencer, were like talking about like this is a retire. I think, well, we'll talk about it later, but on the podcast that Phil Spencer was on, that he talked about Pete Hines retiring. So
Yeah,
I do think he's probably gonna. I mean, he's not gonna be just sitting at home or whatever. He'll probably do other stuff that he's interested in. But
I
as
mean,
far as gaming goes, I'm not really sure if he's gonna move on to something else. Because like, you got to think, because he's been with one company his entire career, which
24
is
years.
For 24 years.
That's incredible.
But
Incredible
like
time.
that's almost unheard of because so many developers like move around different studios, different publishers.
Yeah.
It's like it's crazy to think that he just stuck with Bethesda this entire time, and he was doing a good job at it.
No,
Um,
great, fantastic job.
yeah, so I don't know if this is a type of position that can be replaced because he was head of publishing at
Yes.
Bethesda. And I know initially when the acquisition went through, they said that Bethesda was still gonna be publishing games under their branch, aside from Xbox. But I haven't really seen anything or heard anything about that. So maybe they decided to change course and not do that and just kind of just have Bethesda just under the Xbox wing, and then Xbox will just be the publishing arm or whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll see how everything plays out, but
Yeah.
it's funny because you know, on Twitter people were just going crazy about, oh, there's another departure. They first it was I forgot his name from Tango.
Oh, I'm gonna
Why am I
blank.
blanking? Shinji Mikami. He left right after the acquisition, and people were saying, "Oh, look at he's leaving because Xbox bought him. He don't want to stay." And now people are saying the same thing
I mean, but yeah,
about.
he was also working with the company for a long time. It was
Well,
like 23 years or something like that.
yeah. So I mean, but then even then, he didn't leave right away. He stuck around for 2 years and saw through Starfield's release, and because I think that was like the main project he was associated with.
We're talking about P. Hines.
Yes, P. Hines.
Okay.
And then he got. I mean, granted, he made a lot of money with this acquisition, so I mean, I wouldn't blame anybody for taking the money and being like, I don't need to work anymore.
Yeah.
I can just spend time with my family.
Maybe that's his ultimate goal, is to spend more time with his family. You
Yeah.
know, when sometimes these games, they you start developing them and it take 5-6 years, and you realize how much time has gone by, and your family, you sacrifice a little bit of something, when you're
Yeah.
doing such a big job like that, So maybe he's just taking time for his family, which is admirable. And if he wants to do that, more power to him.
Yeah, and there's really no like 'cause another narrative that's being trying to be spun is like, oh, like look at you guys made fun of Jim Ryan for leaving, but look at B. Hines and stuff like that. But it's there's really no like conspiracy behind, because Starfield launched to, and it's very successful, as maybe we'll talk about it now about how Starfield's been the number one selling game in September despite
Yes.
being on Game Pass, which kind
Exactly.
of just dispels all that rumor and narrative that's trying to be put on Game Pass about what is it
Oh, not making money.
not making no well what's the word devouring game sales, I don't know,
I see. Yeah.
whatever the case may be, but
No,
yes,
that theory is gone.
yeah, no,
Because
that's shattered.
September came, and September had a lot of games come out. We saw Baldur's Gate on the PlayStation. We saw Mortal Kombat 1 come out, the Madden, Payday 3. We saw Armored Core, and it's still, even beyond Game Pass, Starfield came out, and within a week it had 10 million players. It sold so much, and it just made the most money in September. So
Yeah, and like we said, that's with Game Pass, so that means it sold more than all the games of September, even though it was on Game Pass. And granted, that's not even counting digital sales. That's just physical, because I'm pretty sure that's what that list was that was posted on Twitter earlier. But anyway, that's very impressive, and it's honestly, and it's so weird too, because I know they compared it to other Bethesda games.
Okay.
And even Skyrim, when that came out, it wasn't number one. This is the first number one selling game for Bethesda, and that's just sounds so crazy to me.
Yeah, and Skyrim was on all the platforms.
On all the platforms, yeah, and
Yeah.
it had way more hype going into it. I feel like,
That I guess for me, what it tells me is that, or what it tells Xbox is that we don't need to release our games on PlayStation. We can release on Xbox, PC, cloud, Game Pass, and be as successful as ever.
yeah.
You
I
know,
mean,
because
I honestly, I think it's the whole PC push. Like they're really like making sure that PC gets treated just as fairly as console. Because before, I mean, it wasn't really like you would essentially be getting an inferior version, kind of. Because remember,
yeah.
do you remember games for Windows Live?
Oh no.
Yeah, exactly. Like that's
Exactly.
it's really bad, and it was only supported for like a handful of games. But yeah, now they're completely like way past that, and now like it actually feels like they're really trying to make sure that PC is part of the Xbox ecosystem, which is very helpful to make sure that the games sell. I mean, it might, you could argue that it eats into like console sales and stuff like that, but honestly, I think the people who would buy it on PC are probably not gonna buy it on console anyway, because they're PC bros. They're not gonna stoop to the level of console just to play one game. Like
Yeah.
maybe that'll change. Maybe eventually, like once there's enough games, they'd be like, maybe it might be easier to just get a console. I don't know. But that, I mean, it's a stark contrast to PlayStation's strategy, which is release on console first and then later on PC. Which,
Yeah.
if you look at the numbers for PC sales, it's not strong.
No.
It's like less than 10,000. Well, no, I want to say less than 10, maybe like less than 100K on PC sales. So it's like, why even release on PC? Because it's like, I don't know. I feel like they're trying too hard to emphasize the console, and then they like kind of half-ass the PC version. Um, I don't know. That's besides the point.
I mean, even if they wait, if they were to switch their model, be more like Xbox, where they release their game, so Spider-Man 2 would be releasing day and date on PlayStation and PC. Maybe they can maximize their sales, in particular because the Spider-Man 2 is PlayStation 5 only. So
Yeah,
you can only sell a maximum number of Spider-Man 2 games because there's a limit on how many PlayStation 5s have been sold already. So
right.
you're limiting your base right there. You know, you can maximize your sales by bringing it out on PC the same day, and just experiencing all that profit extra now instead of potentially later down the line after you sold a couple of, PlayStation Spider-Man edition consoles.
Yeah, and even Jim Ryan, I think it was like an interview he did like last year, that he was saying he was frustrated with the current console model or business
Yeah.
model, because they can only sell a certain amount of consoles, and then once that's tapped up, like if you look at the numbers, like the sales compared to how much consoles are out there,
Okay.
it's usually like around like 20% attachment rate, which is, I mean, it's still a high number, but like that's a difference between selling to like 10 million copies and 50 million. So
Yeah.
it's like that's a big number difference, because like you would think, oh, this game is available to 50 million people. That's 50 million copies that we can sell. But no, for PlayStation, at least for PlayStation exclusives, they don't sell that well, because the majority of PlayStation purchasers are sadly, I mean, I guess not sadly, but like realistically, they don't play those exclusives. They
Yeah, they're
buy it for
just
2K, they buy it for Modern Warfare, Call of
Madden
Duty,
or yeah.
Madden, and that's one of the
They're casual
significant,
players. They're casual
yeah,
players.
Exactly. So they buy it just to be part of the zeitgeist in or whatever people are talking about. Because remember, once upon a time, it used to be the 360. Everybody had a 360. That was the game console to have. And it switched over to PS4, and now it's still PS5, which that could potentially change with the ABK acquisition, because now you have one of the biggest franchises in the industry under Microsoft, and it's gonna be in Game Pass eventually. So, I mean, the tides will turn. But again, that's why PlayStation has even tried to dip into PC gaming, because like they need that revenue. They want that extra money coming in, but it's not enough because they're waiting too long.
They're waiting too long. Yeah, I mean, like we'll go back to saying there's what 41, 42 million PS5s that have been sold since launch, and that's all. That's the potential right there for Spider-Man. That's the max potential. That means if everybody who owns a PS5 buys Spider-Man 2, they can sell only that much. But there are like 1.8 billion computers, gaming computers in the world out there. I think they did a study last year. It was like 1.8 billion. That's the potential if they release their game on PC. So you can see that stark difference from 42 million to a potential 1.8 billion.
Yeah.
You know, your sales can be maximized. I think they need to move toward that. You know,
at least have like a set structure of when, because I feel like it's kind of like hit or miss. Like there's certain games that come out and then like 3 months later it's on PC, but then there's some games that's like 2 years later. Some games this is 1 year. Like I feel like if there's a set amount of time, I guess if you do that it's like the whole Disney Plus thing, where they said from the get-go that once a movie comes to theaters, 40 days after, it'll be on Disney Plus. And because of that, people know exactly when it's going to be on Disney Plus, so they don't even bother with the movie theater. They'll just be like, I'll just wait till it's on Disney Plus. So I guess that's probably why they don't do it in a certain way.
It's a different business model, though. You know, you can't really...
Yeah, that's true. You know? Well, see, that's the thing. I mean, a lot of times gaming or gamers, they suffer from FOMO. Like people want to be part of whatever the current trend is.
That's me, baby.
That's you. You're a trendy gamer.
Yeah, I gotta play the latest and the greatest.
But that's the thing. A lot of people are like that. So they at least PlayStation tries to capitalize on that. Anyway, I don't know how we got on this topic. We're talking about Starfield.
We're talking about Starfield, yeah.
Anyway, it's very important that Starfield is as successful as it is, and I'm glad that people are still. I'm glad it destroys that narrative that Xbox gamers don't buy games, because they do, clearly.
Yeah. We definitely do. Speaking of buying games, you're not gonna be able to buy Xbox physical games anymore at Walmart. So there's a report coming out that they're going to phase out physical Xbox sales due to declining sales, with other platforms potentially following suit in the future. So now the CEO over at Walmart has like, listen, there's just no point. Stop selling them. I mean, the digital market fronts for Xbox have been great. And then you got Steam. You know, there's really no reason to go to a store to buy a video game unless you want a physical copy, you know? But even then, you can just order online. So it's like, there's not much reason for them to have it on the shelves, taking up potential space for other things that they could use it for.
Yeah, it goes back to what we talked about last week about Best Buy and them getting rid of physical media. Like that's unfortunately or fortunately, depending on how you look at it, that's the like that's where we're going towards.
Yep.
That's the future. Like even whether you like it or not, that's where we're going towards. We're going towards a digital future, and these companies, they see it. They used to fight tooth and nail to get these physical copies, because that used to be their bread and butter. They used to pay for so many physical copies. And now a lot of games are not even doing physical releases anymore. Like Baldur's Gate, that's not physical. It's only digital. Same thing with Alan Wake 2, only digital. So it's like a lot of bigger games are starting to adopt this strategy of being only digital, and the stores are suffering because of it. So I think they're starting to realize like maybe we should like adopt that strategy. Because if you go to stores now, at least for Xbox and even Switch, I don't know about PlayStation. They're probably gonna have to change things up. But if you go to like a Target or whatever, you'll see, if you go to the game, you'll see the physical stuff. But then right on top, you'll see like cards, which basically show the game. It's basically you buy a code so you can download it. And that's kind of like a way to like circumvent. And I mean, I don't know why you'd want to do this, but some people like going to the stores to buy stuff. I mean, sometimes they offer deals that aren't available online. So I guess, I mean, I spoke. Did I speak? Oh no, did I talk about it last week? About how I increased my backlog because of a sale.
Yes, you did.
About I got Midnight Suns. Yeah, I did talk about that. Yeah, so
no,
but that was,
you know what, you may have talked about it with me in the party, but either way, yes,
maybe anyway. Yeah, I bought
your backlog.
Yes, I got a sale because they posted on Twitter about Marvel Midnight Suns. It was on sale, so I bought it because it was on sale. It's like the $100 Legendary Edition for like $20. Yeah. So I was like, I had to get it. Like, I love Marvel and I do like the turn-based style. But anyway, sometimes there's deals like that you gotta take advantage of, but they're only physical. Like, you have to go to the store to do it. But I feel like once other stores start doing this, where they just phase out physical, they're just gonna have the cards. Like, they'll just have the picture of the game, and it'll have a code in the back. You buy it at the register, and then you download it when you get home. Because eventually, like, that's essentially what's happening now. Like, a lot of these games, the disc doesn't have the full game on it. Like, you still got to download the rest of it. So, but what I was saying before is that Xbox and Nintendo do this, where they have the cards or whatever. PlayStation does not. And I feel like they're going to have to be dragged kicking and screaming into this because they, for whatever reason, they just refuse to give away games like digitally. And even PlayStation Plus, or not PlayStation Plus, currency, whatever the currency is, where you can add points or add currency from a card to your account on PlayStation, they don't sell those anymore either.
Yeah. Well, no, so PlayStation's model is you have to buy it through the PlayStation Store.
Yeah, so
I can't go to some place and buy a game digitally. You can't go to GameStop and buy Baldur's Gate 3 digitally.
Yeah,
for PlayStation, you have to buy it on the PlayStation Store.
Yeah, so I think they're doing it with Xbox because Xbox has the lower sales for physical. But I do think it's gonna transfer to PlayStation and Nintendo, and eventually we're just gonna have those cards sitting there. Like, you know, you ever walk by, like in a store like Walmart or Target, and you see like a wall of just gift cards. Yeah, and it'll be for a bunch of stuff. You're gonna start seeing games on there now, because that's what we're going towards. And honestly, like, I don't mind it. There's one issue that, because I saw it on, I don't know if you saw it. It was on Twitter like this week, where someone went to Twitter and they were talking about how their account got hacked and they weren't able to get back on it because they didn't have two-factor authentication. And Microsoft.
You're talking about that lady?
Yeah, that lady. So you did see it, yeah.
Okay, so I did see it, and while this can be a potential problem, right? We also don't know the context of why they locked her out of the account. You know, she did get it back though. She did get it back. But we don't know the context of why she was locked out in the first place.
Yeah, we don't know.
That's important.
Yeah, that is important. And I was skeptical because, like, the way she was painting it was kind of like she was frantic. I would be too if I freaking had all my games pretty much gone and they weren't helping me. Because that's one thing I hate. I hate bad customer service because it makes me want to freaking throw my phone through the wall because I've dealt with it so badly at times. But so I felt her pain. But at the same time, I was like, okay, there's certain steps that maybe you were just overlooking, or maybe, like, I don't know. I felt like you said, we needed more context. But that being said, that is a potential issue that could affect a lot of people who aren't aware of it.
Yeah.
Granted, me and you, we're gamers. We know this stuff. We know about two-factor authentication. We know about like how to make sure our accounts are secure, so that way this doesn't happen.
I got 2 emails and a phone number.
Exactly. So
Yeah.
so it's like we know, but the casual player is not gonna know. So if like we move into a digital future and they're kind of like just being dragged along for the ride and being kind of forced into it, they're not gonna know, and this is gonna happen to them, and they're gonna be essentially like easy prey for these hackers who do that. God, I mean, I've experienced being hacked. A few months ago, my Facebook account was hacked, and I still haven't gotten back because bad customer service. They don't want to answer me. But anyway, it's very easy to be vulnerable, and these hackers, and I say hackers, but honestly, they're just bots. That's just like going through a whole list because like. How many times have we heard about like, oh, your email has been leaked by so and so?
Yeah.
It's that easy. Once it's leaked, people try and attack you. So yeah. So
I think you also have to be leaked. It could be like just phishing. You click something,
yeah,
and or it can even be something as simple as like T-Mobile's hacked or Sony gets hacked, and boom,
right.
your information's gone. That's it.
Exactly. So it can happen at any time. But anyway, that would be the only problem I see with like a digital future. But hopefully with that, they would make it a little bit easier for people to be more knowledgeable about how to protect your account. Because if that's the case, if digital is the only way to play these games, then like you have to educate who's playing them, you know?
Not only that though, but people have to also educate themselves. Google is your friend. YouTube University is your friend. If you have any trouble, Google it. You know, that's what some of the best minds do. They're gonna just, if they can't figure out something when they're coding, they're gonna Google it. They're gonna YouTube it. You know.
But see, that's the problem. They don't even think like that. Why do you think IT is a profession? It's because people don't want to do that stuff.
I guess. Oh man.
But anyway, it's gonna be interesting to see how this plays out with more. I feel like more retail stores are gonna start doing this.
That's fine. Most of my games are digital anyway.
Yeah, like I said, I don't care.
I'm gonna pick up Spider-Man 2 tomorrow.
Well, yeah, no, see, that's
Friday, yeah.
Yeah, so I don't care. Like I'm all digital. I haven't bought, well, aside from Midnight Suns. Before Midnight Suns, my last game that I had physical was a gift for Christmas 2 years ago. So it's not an issue for me.
Yeah. Well, we'll move right along with Halo, some Halo news. As you see, we played Halo for the podcast this week, and that's because Season 5 launched. They added a bunch of new content, new guns, new battle pass, new systems. Everything was feeling really great. It's been a blast. I've been playing a lot more since we've actually played this gameplay that you're seeing on YouTube. But Halo Infinite Steam player count practically doubled overnight after the launch, from roughly about 7,000 to over 18,000 concurrent players. This is just on Steam. It's not including Xbox. So it not only did the player count double, but it was also reported that it jumped up in revenue from like 64th to like 18th place for the most revenue overnight, just because of Season 5 launch. And they're adding a lot of content. Like I saw, like there was a Forge map where people were playing with Pokemon balls, and they were
I did see that. Yeah,
they were literally like throwing Pokeballs around in Halo. I was like, Jesus Christ, people are so like, the community at Halo is absolutely amazing in what they create.
Yeah, no, honestly, this update feels like a return to form for Halo. Yeah, and it's so refreshing because like for the longest time I've been looking for a reason to go back into Halo, and like every season like they add a little bit here, a little bit there, but it's like it's not enough. Like I feel like yeah, it's fun for like a weekend, but then it's like it needs to be more. But I feel like this season, for what I don't know what it is. Maybe it's just the amount of content and the fact that they changed the whole core aspect of it, where you can add, well, I don't know if you can add current codings to any core, but going forward, any coating you get is for all cores, and then you can change the helmet for every core. So like stuff like that is basically what people were asking for. Also, they're bringing in Firefight, which I thought it was gonna be at launch, but apparently it's gonna be mid-season.
Yeah, it's
A little bit disappointed, but I'm definitely gonna be playing that when that comes out. The new maps, the adjusted gameplay style,
the new modes.
the new modes. We were talking about the Needler, how it's like super OP now because
It's ridiculous OP.
yeah, but it's still fun.
It's fun, exactly.
So yeah, no, definitely. I feel like Halo is in a good place right now, but it also it kind of I'm kind of torn about it because
Why?
so I'm very happy that Halo feels like it's coming back essentially, but
Okay.
this kind of speaks more to the issue of games launching in a bad state. And I don't want developers to start seeing this like, oh, even if we launch a game bad, we could still, as long as we get the content later, they'll come back. Like I hope that's not the lesson they're learning about this, because it's happened so many times before where a game, even Cyberpunk, a game launches super like terribly and it's shunned by the gaming community.
For you.
Hey, listen.
Sorry.
But like it's even No Man's Sky. That was like one of the first ones that people talk about. But even Destiny, Rainbow Six Siege. Like I don't want developers to think that they can just launch a game whenever the hell they want, and then as long as they support it later on and have a big marketing campaign later on for it, that they can just it's all is forgiven. Like, no, I want games to launch in a proper state. Like the way Halo is now is what it should have been at launch. Like maybe not with the maps that it had. Obviously, they can't just make like infinite amount of maps. But they should have had a timetable and a system in place before launch to make sure that as the game progresses and as it goes forward, there's a steady flow of content. But I mean, we'll see. I mean, I feel like that's not gonna stop developers from doing that anyway.
No, definitely not.
They're still gonna launch the game shitty, and then just ask for forgiveness later.
Yeah, I mean, look at the prime example of Redfall.
Redfall, that's another one.
How now it's like got a 60 frames patch and they added so much content into it. Even Brother Matt went back and tried it out. He said, "Whoa, none of this was here before," And we're just sitting there at a party. I'm like, "All right, go to the fire station in the beginning. Is the symbol on the floor in high def, or is it still blurry? Like it's like 1080. It's like if it's 340p." Yeah. He's like, "No, it looks good." I said, "Okay." So it took them 6 months to fix all this.
That's what I'm saying. Like I don't want this to be a trend that continues. And I get COVID was the whole thing, but it's like now we should have figured out a process to make sure that this doesn't happen. So, like I said, I'm happy for Halo. I'm happy that it's a good fresh start for 343, because I know they did a whole bunch of like restructuring. And hopefully we'll see more of this trend going forward for the game.
Definitely. All right, now I mean, I guess we can get towards ABK.
The big news.
The big news. ABK is official. It is done. Like Producer J said in the beginning, it is just the beginning, though.
Yes.
Of the ABK saga, because apparently FTC still wants to use their whatever little bit of money they do have.
They want to waste taxpayer money.
They want to waste taxpayer money. They want to waste time. I mean, there wasn't much report on it, but Ubisoft actually had to go to one of the court dates that they had last week, and Ubisoft was like, "Listen, we will give you everything we have on the deal, except for they don't want to give them the pricing and what they're going to be charged, or what Xbox is charging them, or what they're charging Xbox. They don't want that released because they don't want that to hinder any future business with other cloud servers and their deals that they're doing.
Right.
So, the saga continues with the FTC, but ABK is official. It is done. It is part of Xbox. Phil Spencer went on an Xbox podcast at Microsoft and was talking about it. Was talking about ABK, it being done. Was talking about him and the Xbox leadership flying all across the world to see all these amazing teams who are now joining Xbox. And they went to Stockholm to see King. They will be going to San Francisco to see Activision, and it's going to be a big endeavor now. Phil Spencer talked about how he's there to listen, not to dictate. He wants people. He wants to see the passion, and he wants to witness the power that these developers have and what they can bring to the Xbox community. And I look forward to seeing what can be done with ABK now that it's officially with Xbox.
Yeah, that honestly, it's been a long time coming, and it's 20 months. Well, more for. I Phil Spencer said it took him longer because
he said 2 years, but 20 months, publicly.
Yeah, because I mean they had to get this deal like rolling a little bit before the official announcement. So no, it's insane that it's been almost 2 years, like for us in the public to when we heard about it first till now. I'm so glad that it's, for the most part, it's over. Like now we'll like you said, we'll deal with the FTC stuff. Honestly, I don't think that's gonna go anywhere. I think they're just trying to posture. They're trying to be like, oh, we didn't actually lose, so we're still trying to fight it. But then eventually they're gonna delay and delay and delay, and eventually people are gonna forget. As far as like what this means going forward, like right now, like Xbox is in a good position to basically like change the landscape, because before it was always like it felt like Xbox was always like on the back foot, like they were always like responding to whatever Sony was doing, and people wanted that. It's like, oh, what are you gonna do, like first party, what are you gonna do about that? What are you gonna do about the inferior console, because the Xbox One was inferior than PS4? Like, what about like the service, the Xbox Live, or like what you have an answer for PlayStation Plus? I mean, I know Xbox Live was technically like the better service, but I feel like PlayStation Plus kind of like sweetened the deal a lot in terms like they added games every month, and they were always better than games with gold or whatever. So Xbox was always responding. But now I feel like for the first time in can't even remember how long, that now people are asking Sony to respond, because now you see people say, oh, what's Sony? Who's Sony gonna acquire now? And like it's crazy that how the narrative is starting to change, and it's essentially it's like a paradigm shift where now Xbox kind of feels like they could potentially be the number one. Maybe not right away, because obviously this growing pains, they gotta figure things out. I mean, even like with Bobby Kotick, he's staying on until the end of the year. Originally, he was staying on until April of next year, but they was like, nah, you gotta go fast.
They said, Merry Christmas, get out of here.
But yeah, so they ousting him. I mean, he's gonna get paid a bag, so I mean it's whatever. As long as he's gone, that's all that matters. I mean, it sucks that he's still gonna get money off of this, and he could still technically go wherever he wants. He's not retiring. He's just leaving Activision. But this is like even when they announced the deal closing, they put out like a trailer, and I don't know about you, but I don't want to say I got like emotional, but I was just like, I got hyped. I was like, yo, this is a big thing. Like for the first time in like I think the last time I mean, obviously with like the Bethesda deal, that was a huge like moment in time. But this one feels even that much bigger, obviously, because it's a bigger company, but it's like so much franchises are now under the Microsoft umbrella. And even when Phil Spencer was asked about it, like he He couldn't even get into like every game that they are now in charge of because it's so much. And for me personally, I saw when they did the trailer where they announced the deal closing and they did the whole montage of games. Um, I got super hyped because they showed Prototype in the montage, and I'm
Yeah.
such a huge fan of that game. Like me and my brother used to play that game so much. It was so fun because that was kind of like the precursor to Spider-Man, because I think that was maybe it was after. I can't remember exactly the timetable, but it was they made the engine for Spider-Man 2, and then I think they lost. No, they didn't lost the license. I don't know. Something happened with Spider-Man where they didn't use it again, but they branched it out to Prototype, and Prototype was used on the Spider-Man engine, and that was essentially like the superhero type game at the time. But it brings it makes me happy that now these especially these studios, because that was another thing that I really enjoyed that he said, and he was very like specific about it, that because he's going to these studios and he's gonna talk to them and get like knowledge and learn from them and see what they want to do,
Yes.
not what Xbox is gonna dictate to them. Obviously, it might be like, hey, you want to do this, you want to do this, but he wants to listen to what they want to do, and that is music to my ears, because that was literally the number one complaint a lot of people had with Activision as of late, that literally they had like 7, 8, 9 studios just working on Call of Duty.
Yeah.
And I get that that was the business model. They had to prop up Call of Duty because that was the moneymaker. Aside from King, because King makes all that money separate, but for the Activision side, they were making money from Call of Duty. So that was the priority. So now that I guess that's not the business model anymore. Call of Duty is not the priority. It is part of the lineup now that Xbox owns, but that's not like they can now potentially they can take a year off of Call of Duty. Now they can maybe take 2 or 3 years off,
I
maybe,
don't.
and just support it through updates and map packs and DLC for the campaign. Like
I highly doubt they'll take 3 years off.
no, that I
Call
don't.
of Duty is a monster that needs to be fed.
But see, that's the thing. That was before, because that it had to be fed, because that was the only way they made money. Now we have Game Pass. Microsoft, they're not hurting for money. They don't need Call of Duty to be the yearly release that and microtransaction heavy game that it used to be. Now they can kind of like step back a little bit. Maybe 3 years is a little bit too much, but maybe like 2 years. Maybe a 2-year dev cycle, and maybe every other year a game, a Call of Duty releases. So that way, because that's another thing too, because a lot of people felt fatigue from Call of Duty. They were just like, oh, another game, and because literally the life cycle for Call of Duty was always like a year, and then the next game comes out, and then I mean, Warzone, it's its own thing, because that kind of like branched out, and it's like it keeps updating the same thing, and it's free. So but aside from that, that was it. It was just a year, at least the multiplayer. But now you can give a little breathing room. Now you can update games and make sure that it's supported long term, instead of, oh, here's Modern Warfare 3 right a year after Modern Warfare 2. Like, you don't have to do that anymore. And again, with these studios, that was the reason why all these studios were working on it, because they had to feed, like you said, the Call of Duty machine. Once that machine is basically like tended to, where it doesn't need to be having so many developers underneath it, these developers can do whatever they want now. Now they can focus on passion projects. Now they can, and Phil Spencer said, like, there's a plethora of IP that they now own, and including their own. Like, now you can have, I know this has been like a fan thing that they talked about, where Toys for Bob can make a new Banjo game, because they used to make the Crash games and they were put into Call of Duty, but now they can go back to doing what they want to do. But ultimately, I want the developers to be able to be creative again. I don't want them to be stuck under Call of Duty and just having to support that for years on end. And that's the main thing. I mean, that's just Call of Duty. I mean, we also have Blizzard. That's the whole thing with Overwatch. They got, and then the new game, what's it called?
What new game?
Odyssey. They have a new. It's they don't have a name yet. It's Project Odyssey or something like that.
Oh, okay.
It's a new IP. So they got that. They got Diablo, obviously. And then World of Warcraft. There's just a lot of like potential, and I think that's what everybody's excited for. The potential of what can happen with this acquisition. Now that Activision Blizzard is not under the reins of Bobby Kotick, who just wanted to stick to just profits over everything. Now they can focus on being creative, which is something that has happened under Xbox. A lot of developers have been more creative under Xbox. Even freaking Obsidian, they made Pentiment. Ninja Theory, they made Bleeding Edge. I mean, granted, that wasn't a success, but they got to do it. Obsidian with Grounded, that ended up being a success. So,
huge success, yeah.
Yeah, so
or tiny success, depending on how you look at it.
Yeah. But yeah, so that's what I want. I'm more excited for that stuff.
Yeah. I mean, either way, this whole ABK situation, it's gonna bring so much, and it's going to change so much. That's why we said it's just the beginning, because it is just that, the beginning. It is the end of the regulatory process, and it's the beginning of the future of Xbox.
Yeah, and so I guess, well, that's pretty much it, right? That's what we got for the news.
Yeah, that's pretty much.
What I'll do is I'll ask a question, and
Okay.
you saw a little bit of my mindset on Twitter earlier because I know you liked my tweet. What is your like fantasy game, or like if you were to take any game under ABK, Bethesda, Xbox, now that you have all these studios to like mix and match with what you wanted to do, what would you make?
Oh man, we're talking specifically just ABK, right?
I guess because now we have more of a selection now with ABK. So I'll give you some time to think.
Go ahead.
So for me, I said on Twitter, if you look at my Twitter account, I don't know why. So I mentioned it earlier. I'm a big fan of Prototype. I really hope they bring that back. One thing we didn't even talk about is the whole Game Pass aspect, because so they're not gonna
they're not doing a surprise drop of old ABK games into Game Pass. They are going to simply do it next year. They're going to give it time and release ABK games onto Game Pass in 2024.
Yeah. And I mean, so they said there wasn't going to be like a surprise drop or whatever. I mean, there's been some talk that that's not entirely true, that they might do some games, but between now and the end of the year, it's probably maybe it'd be like one or two or something like that. But the majority will come next year. Yeah. At the very least. So that has me excited too, because I honestly, one thing I don't want is more games in my backlog. So I'm fine with that if I have to wait a little bit for them to come out. And
hold on. The memes want more for your backlog. Okay?
No, absolutely not. Nope. But it's also good. It gets people excited, because I remember one. I think we spoke about it before, about when they were doing the backwards compatibility. It was like every month. It was like a new, or maybe it was like every week. I don't know. But they were adding new games, and it was so cool to like find out like, oh, what's this game? Oh, Red Dead. Oh, Max Payne. Like all these games. Like you was like, oh, I remember that game, Metal Gear Solid. Like that's like, I like that, and I hope they do the same thing with this, because there's so many games that they can add to Game Pass now, and it would be overwhelming to add all of them at the same time.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So I hope they take their time, drip feed it, maybe like do like 2 or 3 every month, or maybe like 4. I feel like 4 is a good number because they have a lot of games that they can add, like backwards compatible included. So, yeah. So anyway, getting back to the topic, I said like I was a big fan of Prototype, and I really want that game to come back. But then I was thinking, I'm like, how? Okay, so would it be a sequel? I don't think they should do a sequel because it's been so long. People probably don't even know about Prototype too much. I feel like they should reboot it and have Ninja Theory make it, because I feel like have you ever played DMC Devil May Cry by Ninja Theory?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I want that type of game, like that heavy action, fast pace, in your face, like that. I want that type of gameplay, but in Prototype, which is like an open world. You have like superpowers kinda, and you can jump around from building to building. It's like I said, it's from like the same engine that Spider-Man used. So I feel like that would be so, like, that would just hit the sweet spot for me. If they were to remake or reboot that, and with like updated graphics, Unreal Engine 5, like all the glitz and glamour.
Yeah.
That would be like my dream, like dev IP pairing, I guess.
All right. I definitely have 2. I have 2 that I know right off the back. Well, it's a group effort. Let's say, all right. So the first one would be, I want Raven Software to remake, or I say remake or remaster something with Marvel Ultimate Alliance.
Yeah.
Because that came out, it was like 2006. Raven Software did it. As you know, Raven Software has been a Call of Duty,
support studio. Yeah.
Support studio. So, I want them to go back and remake and or remaster Marvel's Ultimate Alliance. Could you imagine Ultimate Alliance today? That would be amazing.
Damn, why you gotta do that to me? Because I don't think that's gonna happen. But
I know.
That would be so cool. Like, that was one thing that I really I missed out, because I know they had it the first 2 games. Well, it was the first 2 games, because the third one's on the Switch. The first 2 games were available on like current consoles, but then they got delisted like a few years ago, and it was just like random too. Like, it wasn't even like there was no warning or anything. It was just delisted, and you couldn't buy it anymore. I know it had to do with like licensing issues and stuff like that, but definitely. I wonder if they could bring it back.
I mean, think about it this way, because the other side of the group it has to do more with Spider-Man. Okay, because for the longest time, Spider-Man games were on Xbox. You know, we had Web of Shadows, Shattered Dimensions. Could you imagine if Xbox goes to Disney Disney and says, listen, we want to, purchase the license for Spider-Man to renew all these old Spider-Man games and bring them out on Game Pass and for sale. I think that will be amazing, because Shattered Dimensions was awesome. So was Web of Shadows. There were amazing Spider-Man games that were on Xbox, that were on every platform before, Sony got the licensing rights to make the games for it. I want them. That's my second group of games to come out, would be to bring back Spider-Man to Xbox.
There was a Spider-Man game. I'm trying to think. It was more of like the comic book Spider-Man game. I can't remember the name of it, but it was like cell shaded, and it was for the original Xbox.
The original Xbox.
Yeah, no, it was. I mean, it was on GameCube and PS2 as well, but I played it on the original Xbox. I can't remember the name. I know Venom was in it.
That's ain't much, man.
I know. It's hard. I'm trying to look it up real quick. I'm trying to see if I can find it.
I'm not sure, because I know they have so many different Spider-Man games. It was absolutely insane. They literally had play on PlayStation in 2000. It was Spider-Man by Neversoft.
Oh, it was called Ultimate Spider-Man. That's what it was called.
Oh, okay, Ultimate Spider-Man. All right,
Yeah, no,
yeah.
that was one I really enjoyed. And yeah, so I mean, I don't know too much about like the licensing stuff because like
Yeah.
does Sony own the license, like, or is it just being licensed? Because I
No,
know that's
they don't own the license. Disney is the one who owns that, and they
they
sell
just
it.
license it out
They
to
license it out
Sony.
to Sony. Yeah, yeah.
Okay, all
The
right, yeah, I
Sony
guess
Sony only owns the rights to Spider-Man the movie.
yes.
They don't own the rights to Spider-Man games or anything else. They just do movies. That's it.
Well, yeah, that I guess that makes sense because Ultimate Alliance 3 or the third Ultimate, I don't remember what it was called, um was on the Switch and it had Spider-Man on it. And also the Midnight Suns Spider-Man's in it, which is on Xbox. So I
Yeah.
guess yeah, I guess they don't own the license to it.
Yeah, no,
So
no, no. They don't own the license. Sony does not own the license to it. It is simply uh just given to them for a set amount of time and years. The same way EA has the Star Wars license for 10 years, and now
but they
that's up.
they had it, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So it's in the same realm of that. It gets murky because Sony does own the Spider-Man rights for the movies, but they don't own Spider-Man itself. That's still a
Yeah.
Disney property and all that now.
Yeah, okay. So I guess it is plausible, but I honestly I don't know how long that would take because technically, I mean, maybe they could have done it beforehand just to have it ready for when this closed, but I don't know the legality behind that. So maybe
It,
they
it
had to wait until it closed.
it doesn't even matter. Take all the time you need. Just make it happen.
Yeah, okay, that's true. Um, but yeah, so there's so much possibilities, and it's like I can't wait to see what happens. Like I honestly I know it's kind of like a meme for like Xbox gamers, but I can't wait for E3 because I know that's when we're gonna get like the first like announcements after this deal, and it's gonna be great. Oh man, I'm
Yeah.
I'm hyped.
It's definitely like you said. The trailer, even when they launched the trailer after announcing ABK was sold, that was so hype. The trailer was absolutely amazing, and
Yeah.
came out of
Oh,
nowhere.
by the way, speaking of trailers, did you see the one that they just released today?
Yes, I did. I
Did,
did.
did you see how like subtly they brought they showed Call of Duty in it?
Yeah.
Because technically, or not technically, they don't have the rights to market Call of Duty. So they snuck in a little kind of like Easter egg sorta in it, just to reference that hey, we own Call of Duty now. Where like they had the girl playing, I think it was Black Ops 3 in the background, but you can see it. It's just that's not the focus. But
Yeah.
I like that it was a little nod to be like, yeah, now we got that.
Yeah, they've been on point with the marketing lately. That's it.
Yeah.
It's-
Oh, that's another thing too. I was hearing some because you know they own the studio that makes the Warcraft cutscenes, the cinematics,
yes.
those 3D cinematics that are freaking awesome. Like they own them now, so they can literally use them for any game that they want, not just Blizzard games. So that would be awesome too, because that we can get like hype videos for like so many. They don't have to outsource anymore. We can get this stuff for like so many different games.
Like
Like I said, there's so many
there's so
possibilities.
much potential. Yeah, there's
Yeah,
so much potential. It's absolutely insane. We can sit here and
it would,
fangirl all night
right? Yeah, we could.
about what we want or what can come out of this because the potential is absolutely limitless for the
Right.
future of Xbox and for the future of gamers, for gamers itself. We
Yes.
we all look forward to seeing exactly what can come from this, and we can't wait.
Yeah.
We can't
Like
wait.
I said earlier, it's a paradigm shift. I think honestly, this could potentially turn the tides for Xbox and make Sony start looking at their strategy a little bit differently now. Instead of doing the traditional single player, over the shoulder, action third person game, maybe they might branch out. Maybe they might do something different for a change, you know? This what happened with the PS3 era because they got their asses handed to them. Granted, most of it was on their fault. There was their fault, but that now they can step back, take a look at what Xbox is doing, and see how they can respond. And honestly, that's the great thing about competition is that we all benefit because we're gamers, and that's what we want. We want both of these companies. I mean, I would include Nintendo, but they're their own thing. They're always going to be successful. So
That's a flag.
yeah, so we all benefit from them being at their best, and I think that's what this is the start of. Both companies being at their best. With that being said, we have come to the end of this podcast. Any parting words?
No parting words. Just nope. We're good. We got it all out.
All right, so enjoy your games. If you're playing Spider-Man, don't spoil anything because that sucks.
Yeah, don't be one of those guys.
Yeah, don't be one of them. We'll see you guys next week. Peace out.
Peace.